Introduction. When the Muslims built a world empire and actual needs arose, they tackled all these issues and tried to reach definite conclusions on all of them in the light of the Quran and the Sunnah. The Quran is, however, silent on all these issues because their meaning is ever changing with historical evolution. Besides, the Quran does not aim to create a state but to create a society. Hence, whatever the form and shape of the state, if the Quranic society is realized in it, it may bear the designation of the Islamic State. Imamate. The historical situation explains Al-Mawardi's efforts to propound a theory of the caliphate in which everything depends on the authority of the caliph. Al-Mawardi is not a philosopher at all, that he is least interested in abstract thinking. He is a jurist and builds on the opinions of his forebears. His greatest merit lies in the fact that he abstains from abstract speculation and correlates the opinions of the jurist to the historical perspective of his age. This will give us a true estimate of Al-Mawardi's achievements. The institution of the Imamate is necessary as a requirement of the Sharia and not as a requirement of reason. The appointment of an Imam by the consensus of the Muslim community is obligatory. The Imamate is instituted by means of election. The electoral college shall consist of persons with special qualifications. These qualifications are three: justice with all the conditions pertaining to it, knowledge of religion and of the interests and policy of the nation, and wisdom. Also, the candidates for the Imamate must fulfill certain conditions. These conditions are justice, learning, integrity of physical senses, integrity of physical organs, wisdom, bravery, and Qurayshite descent. The Caliph is traditionally elected in the capital because the death of the previous Caliph is first known there, and because most of the people possessing the necessary qualification for Imamate generally reside there. Among the 7 conditions which, according to Al-Mawardi, must be fulfilled by a candidate, the 7th one, that is, the Qurayshite descent, is very important. The Imam is appointed in one of two ways. He may be elected by the electoral college. He may be nominated by the ruling Imam. In the first case, some scholars say the Imam must be elected by all the members of the electoral college in all the cities. Others oppose this view and say that Abu Bakr was elected only by the citizens of Medina. Still others assert that only 5 persons are sufficient to elect the Imam, as happened in the case of Abu Bakr and Usman. In Al-Mawardi's opinion, even 1 person is enough to elect the Caliph. He cites the tradition of Abbas in evidence. Where Al-Mawardi discusses the case of 2 candidates equally qualified for the Imamate, he says that the electoral college may nominate any one of the 2 as Imam. The election of a less qualified person in the presence of a more qualified person is perfectly legal, provided the former fulfills all the conditions of Imamate. If there is only one suitable candidate for the Imamate, he automatically becomes the Imam, and no election is required. Al-Mawardi seems to be inclined to this view. The jurists and scholars, however, assert that election must be held even if there is only one candidate for it, for otherwise the Imam cannot acquire legal status. The existence of 2 Imams contemporaneously is illegal. Succession. The ruling Imam can nominate his successor. There is complete consensus on this point in the Muslim community. The Muslims accepted Umar as the next caliph not on the suggestion of Abu Bakr but in obedience to his order as caliph. The Imam can nominate any suitable person as his successor, provided he does not happen to be his father or son. In case he nominates his father, no concurrence is required. But if he nominates his son, the concurrence must be obtained. The nomination of a person as heir apparent becomes effective only when he declares his consent to it. The Imam cannot withdraw the nomination until there occurs in this heir apparent some important change which invalidates him legally. The Imam can appoint the electoral college as well as the persons who make contest for the Imamate. This opinion is based on the election of Usman by means of limited shura appointed by Umar. The Imam can nominate two or more heirs apparent to succeed him one after the other. Duties and functions of the Imam. The Imam has the following 10 principal duties to perform: the safeguard and defense of the established principles of religion as understood and propounded by the consensus of ancient authorities. If anyone innovates an opinion or becomes a skeptic, the Imam should convince him of the real truth and correct him with proper arguments and make him obey the injunctions and prohibitions of the Sharia. The dispensation of justice and disposal of all litigations in accordance with the Sharia. He should curb the strong from riding on the weak and encourage the weak to take his due in face of the strong. The maintenance of law and order in the country to make it possible for the people to lead a peaceful life. The enforcement of the criminal code and the fundamental rights of men. The defense of the frontiers against foreign invasions to guarantee the security of life. The organization and prosecution of religious war against those who oppose the call of Islam or refuse to enter the protection of the Islamic State. The collection of kharaj and zakat taxes in accordance with the laws of Sharia. The appointment of allowances and stipends from the state treasury to those who are entitled to them. The appointment of honest and sincere men to the principal offices of the state. The Imam should personally look into and appraise himself of the affairs of his dominations, so that he may himself direct the national policy and protect the interest of the people. When the Imam has carried out all these duties efficiently, the people must offer him two things principally: obedience and help. The notable fact here is, while Al-Mawardi's predecessors and successors lay great emphasis on the first 2 points, the safeguard of religious principles and the dispensation of justice, as the principal duties of the Imam, Al-Mawardi lays the main stress on the administrative responsibility of the Caliph. In his opinion, the Caliphate is not merely a religious institution for the carrying out of justice, but also the greatest social organization to help promote the corporate life of man on this earth. The deposition of the Imam. Once a person is elected as Imam, he cannot be removed from that office until there has occurred some definite change in him. Al-Mawardi says that the Imam loses his title and authority on account of one of the following reasons. If there occurs a change in his moral status, technically known as sense of justice. The moral change is of two kinds. The one connected with his body, if he becomes a slave to his inordinate desires and is given over to his sensual passions. The one connected with his faith, that is, if a person holds opinions contrary to the established principles of religion or holds such twisted opinions, he can neither be initiated as Imam nor can continue to hold that office. If there occurs a change in the person of the Imam, it is of three kinds: loss of physical senses, loss of bodily organs, and loss of ability to supervise and direct. Among the defects which occur in the physical senses, the two most important ones are the loss of mental faculty and the loss of eyesight. Loss of bodily organs. If it does not hinder the performance of the normal duties and does not disfigure the features or the external beauty of the body, it will be of no account. In certain cases, when the loss of organs renders a person helpless, he can neither be elected as Imam. Such is the loss of two hands or of the 2 feet. The loss of personal ability to supervise and direct is of two kinds. If the Imam is overpowered by one of his counselors and assistants, who appropriates all authority to himself but does not openly defy the Imam will continue in his office, provided the usurper rules in accordance with the injunction of the Sharia. But if his conduct is opposed to the principles of religion and justice, he will not be tolerated in that status, and the Imam shall have to seek the help of a person who can oust the usurper and restore supreme authority to the Caliph. If the Imam falls a prisoner into the hands of an enemy, it will be the duty of the entire Muslim people to endeavor to emancipate him. And as long as there is any hope of this deliverance, he will continue as Imam. But if all hope is lost, he will be deemed to have relinquished his office, and a new election shall take place. If the Imam is captured by a Muslim rebellious army, and the rebels have not appointed an Imam of their own, the captured Imam shall continue to command the loyalty of the people, and an active Imam shall be appointed by him, if possible, or by the electoral college. But if the rebels have appointed an Imam of their own, the existing Imam shall forfeit his claim to the Imamate, and the responsible men shall elect a new Imam according to their discretion.